Hello, Kindred Spirits, and welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and together we are going to be diving in to see what you have coming in for the next 2 weeks with the charms. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so welcome back, my beautiful kindred spirits, and anyone new who may be joining us here on the channel today. We are going to be doing some fun stuff with the charms and the cards here to look into your next 2 weeks, doing a week-by-week energy forecast. And if you're interested in any kind of reading where I can go into any question or query or theme on your mind for career, for loves, for spirituality, or to connect with any spirit, then do feel free to reach out, as I'd love to do a reading for you where I send a letter to you in the mail. It's typewritten on a vintage typewriter and sent to you, wax sealed, closed. And if you're interested in any other of my offerings, such as the rainbow earrings that I create, or into spell papers for the fall, then definitely feel free to reach out for those as well. But we're going to go ahead and get started here first by looking at your piles. So we have 3 different piles here today for you all. Here for pile number 1, if you're feeling called to this one, you might be feeling called to this piece of Ammonite in its beautiful aura rainbow. So if this one is calling to you, then that is pile number 1. Here for pile number 2, there is this piece of red tiger's eye in this more rusty, deeper color. So if you're feeling called to this one, that is pile number 2. And last but not least here for pile number 3, instead of a crystal here today, I was feeling called to this piece of bark with the lichen on top. So if you're feeling called to this one, then that is pile number 3. But before you start heading off to the timestamps, as always, I like to invite you to take a deep and cleansing breath here with me in a moment so you can really connect with your intuition, connect with the piles, connect with your guides and the like. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath together here now. And as always, there are no right or wrong ways to choose your piles here. You can choose all 3 of the piles, you can choose a pile and change your mind, you can take little pieces of all of them. There really are no rules here, so I'll have all the timestamps in the description down below alongside the chapter marks of this video. And as I mentioned, if you're interested in any of the offerings that I have, you can feel free to check those out through my Linktree and listed on my Instagram with helpful reviews and honest reviews over there. So with that all said, let's go ahead and look at pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this piece of Ammonite in its rainbow colors, then this is the pile for you to look into your coming next 2 weeks to see what's coming in with the charms, with the cards, the numbers, the letters, all of it. We're going to be using lots of different supplies here, so if you're curious, everything will be listed in the description down below. But we're going to be doing the charm cast later on, but we're going to actually start with your letter tiles. So, as always, do feel free to get yourself cozy, get settled, get comfortable, get some snacks, whatever you need to do to get yourself ready for this. But I'm just feeling pumped, so let's just jump right in. So feel free to send your own energy into the charms, the cards, the decks, all of that as we move through them. And as always, do use your own intuition as we go through this. If you see certain things in the letters, the numbers, certain charms really call out to you in a way that maybe doesn't exactly speak to what I'm saying, always listen to your gut and see what's coming forward as well, and we can see together. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and open this. Haven't used it since last week, but let's see what the letters have to say for you, group 1. Wow, lots of letters today. Very fun. Interesting. Already seeing the sort of message of burr. That could be that someone's being kind of cold to you, but it also could literally mean just the weather. So something to consider. This one fell outside of the entire tray here, so it might be more significant. You did get the letter Y, and whenever I see the letter Y show up, it makes me think of the actual question of why. So there might be a lot of things that you are questioning this week, things you're trying to either search for answers for, or are getting very curious, asking why, sort of like a 3-year-old would, right? Like, why is the sky blue? And then you get an answer, and then you ask another why, and why, and why, and why. And there's a curiosity to your coming next 2 weeks that's really interesting. Other ones that you have coming forward, we do have high showing up here. That could mean that you have a lot of people which you are, connecting with. It could be a more social next 2 weeks. People you haven't maybe seen for a while, dropping in, text messages. If you're old school like me, maybe even snail mail or emails. You have other letters coming in, so let's go through them all. So we have THIYBROAI, EADI, and M. Immediately I'm just sort of seeing that there's a lot of vowels coming forward, but there's also quite a few consonants to play around with here, but there's definitely a lot of vowels. Whenever I see a lot of vowels coming forward, sometimes it means that, like, when it comes to our communication and the way that we communicate to others about things, sometimes we have a harder time when a lot of vowels come out, right? If you take all the vowels out of a sentence, you could probably still read it and figure it out, but if you take all the consonants out of a sentence and you're left with just the vowels, we'd have no idea what you're saying. So that's how I sort of see this. If there's a lot of vowels, it means that the way that you're communicating might not be the most clear, or the way others are communicating with you, possibly with those messages that we had coming in with hi, it could just mean that the way that you're socializing with someone is either much more fluid and possibly less clear, maybe more playful, but it also can mean that there can be miscommunication happening. So things to consider. I did forget to mention, but you can also look at the letters not only to spell things, which feel free to start spelling things on your own here, but also you can use them to see specific initials that are important for people who might be involved in the next 2 weeks for you. I'm not honestly getting a lot out of it. I feel like I saw like tea here. Could be, again, like having a cup of tea with someone, having a conversation. Kind of feels like it kind of feels like a friend, like coming by and having coffee with you, right? That a feeling of like someone dropping by for a cup of tea, dropping by for a little bit of coffee, or just a quick little chat, something like that coming forward. I'm also seeing brim here, which is making me think too that you're like, if you think of like, filled up to the brim, that's kind of the feeling I'm getting too, is that you're maybe just feeling quite bubbly, quite playful this next coming 2 weeks. Like, I'm not really getting a ton of very specific information, but the energy feels really nice. It feels cozy, it feels comfortable, it feels playful, curious. So that's what I'm really getting here just from your letters. So I'm going to go ahead and take a second and move these all aside, and we'll get ready for the numbers. Okay, so I've got this all set up again so we can pull a couple of numbers for you. So very similar to the letters, we're going to be using the numbers to see any specific dates, any specific angel numbers or repeating numbers, some numerology up in here to see what might be going on for you for the next 2 weeks. So let's pull these as well. All right. Let's have a little peek. So you have the number 10 in red, 10 being a number usually of completions, things that you're completing or finishing. Because it is red, it's making me think of like a due date, something like that maybe you're not excited about or is just creeping up on you, like a due date creeping up on you of something you need to complete or finish. You also have the number 7, which is a number of reflection or looking back. So literally this might be connected in that you're trying to like finish something or complete something that you've forgotten. Other things here, you have the number 5 in blue and 4 in orange. I'm not feeling as much from the 4 and 5 here. It's mostly the 7 and the 10. You can also see this if you add them up. So you've got the 17th, the 15th, or the 14th being really important dates possibly that you might want to look back on if it's something about a due date here. but we don't have any repeating numbers, so that's kind of everything I'm really getting here, but feel free to see if there's something else for you here as well. But let's go ahead and have a look at your main energy for the next 2 weeks with the tarot cards, as this one is going to be showing us that higher energy coming forward. So if you think of the entire 2 weeks, this is the energy to encompass what that energy is, right? This is the overarching energy, the main theme. So let's see what that is for you, group 1. The main theme or energy coming forward, most prevalently for, oh my goodness, you guys are getting a lot of cards, for group 1. So we're going to take this Magician one, I think, as it was trying to fall out of the deck even before I started this entire reading. So it definitely feels like it was meant to come out. So here we are with the Magician. Absolutely love this Magician. They just feel so whimsical, but also, obviously, with this being the Modern Witch Tarot, a very modern witch here. The Magician, what I love about this card is, if you guys are familiar with tarot, which I'm sure many of you are, all of the 4 suits are shown here. You've got the swords, the pentacles, the wands, and the cups, right? You have all of them. You have the energy of the sky and, you know, the heavens, or whatever you believe, right? The higher energies. And then you have the lower ones as well, all with the way that they're pointing up and down, so above and so below, right? So you have a lot of energy, a lot of resources, a lot of resources at your disposal and at your service, right? So when I'm looking at this Magician card, it's making me think that the next 2 weeks you have a lot of opportunities opening up to you because you have a lot of resources. You're very resourceful these next 2 weeks. Resources is in very physical things like money, resources with others, being able to borrow things or being able to purchase things that might be useful to you in a business or in the home or whatever it might be. But it can also be like resources as in having the tools to work through like mental health things, or to have the resources to be resourceful enough to use like Google to search, you know, answers to the questions that you have with that why that we saw earlier. So resourcefulness is the key to your next 2 weeks, is the thing to really look out for and to use most to your advantage these next 2 weeks. I also think that you, just like I said, might have new resources coming in, things you've purchased or ordered coming in that are going to be really helpful and benefit you. So that's mostly what I'm getting here. This also can talk about manifestation. So if you are in or are a practicing witch or use witchcraft, then that also could be coming forward with things that are manifesting in your life. But we're going to go ahead and shift gears to look at the charms here with the charm casting cloth or mat here, which, by the way, if you guys are interested in getting your own custom embroidered charm casting mat, do feel free to email me or message me. I'd love to create one for you. But today, as always with these 2 week ahead readings, we're going to use the charms here on the mat. Anything that falls here in the center is going to be more about the Magician, or those main energies, those overarching themes. Anything that falls here on the left side in this little noodle shape is going to be about week 1. And then the same with reverse over here on the right side for week 2. And we'll talk about the moons individually for timing if they show up. But before we move to the charms over here, we're going to start first with the tarot tile charms, so we can get some tarot cards on the cloth here. So as always, feel free to send your energy in, and let's pull a few for you. Okay. Interesting. I feel like I'm seeing where that 10 is coming forward for you in the first week. So we'll see how that shows up, and we'll zoom in a moment. But let's pull you some extra little details here with the charms. So let's mix these up as well. Okay, let's have a little look. So we're going to start off here in the center, looking more deeply into that Magician energy that we had earlier for you. Things that are showing up, in case you were looking for a K in your letters, you now have the letter K to add to it. K also can mean that you're just like, you're okay, like things are okay. So it can be like just like a really nice calm message, and it can also be, a more reassuring message as well. But K is coming forward. You also have the little like nut and bolt charm here. Nuts and bolts are very resourceful too, like tools in your tool belt. You've got a lot of tools. You have a lot of things in your grasp right now to take advantage of and utilize. You also have the Knight of Wands coming forward here. The Knight of Wands is interesting because this one kind of showed up upside down. So when I'm thinking of it as reverse, it's telling me that you have a lot of resources, but I don't know if you're necessarily using them to your best of your ability, right? Sometimes we may have all the resources available to us, but maybe we don't have time as a resource, or we're feeling lazy that week. Let's be honest. Sometimes we're feeling lazy, or we just don't have the motivation, because this is a very motivated, determined card. And I feel like you maybe just don't have the motivation. You want to just sort of chill. You want to be able to just like slow things down, but things are still speeding up around you. Yes, you have the resources, but do you have the energy or motivation for them? That's up to you, really, at the end of the day. You also have the little clothespin here. The clothespin also makes me think of that too, because it usually represents hanging something up to dry and leaving it for later. So it does feel like, again, you have the resources. This is really good timing. You have good opportunities coming towards you and to you, but it may not be the next 2 weeks where you're feeling most motivated to take action on them. So even though things are primed and ready to go, doesn't necessarily mean we want to paint the wall. You know what I mean? Which totally makes sense as we move into week 1 here. So I'll move this over here. I was talking about earlier with that number 10 coming forward, and the idea that maybe you're just not feeling like finishing something, or there's something you've forgotten that you need to finish, or a loose end to a project that you need to complete, some sort of due date. And it feels, that's really what this card feels like. It is the 10 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords can be a very heavy, very deep card. But in this case, it just sort of feels like one of those, like, oops, I forgot. Oops, I forgot I had a ton of things I needed to do. And they're like stacking up and they're piling up. And then it's not until, you have 10 swords in your side that you realize, like, wow, wait, I still had to do that thing? I completely forgot. So there's something showing up here that, like, you're going to forget in week 1. So if you haven't already looked at your planner, this would be definitely the time to look back on your planner, look back on your plans, make sure there isn't something you forgot, a forgotten promise to someone or something that you needed to complete and finish here in week 1 that maybe even is related to week 2, but maybe something you need to be working on here in week 1, something that doesn't feel immediately intuitive to you, so it might take a little bit of digging to find out. You have here, it could be related to a Pisces in your life and their sun, moon, or rising, so something to also consider. You also, in case you were looking for another eye to come forward, as you have many eyes coming forward, you have another showing up specifically in week 1. Whenever I see I as well, similar to Y, I can show us that it is more of a week that is really about you, or you feel like you want to focus on yourself or focus on the things that you have going on. Also, because it kind of would have related to that high message, you could have that like coffee date or that catch up with someone or a friendship situation happening here in the first week, maybe something you forgot. Other things, you also have the Queen of Wands coming forward and the Queen of Wands key here. I also think of it as a very sovereign key. This is a key to, it kind of is just giving me more of that feeling of that Knight of Wands, of feeling like it was like all the way over here, like not even pointing at the things that kind of matter to get finished and done. And you're like looking elsewhere. You're like, maybe a little spacey in the first week, spacing out, maybe not wanting to finish things or feeling less determined or focused. So that's sort of the energy of the first week. As for the second, though, things might change. So let's have a little look here. You have the Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles is very different from the Knight of Wands. But the Knight of Wands is determined, wants to get things done. Sometimes can be a little too quick-footed about it. The Knight of Pentacles is taking things slow, finishing things off. They're much better energy to have when it comes to trying to kind of have focus and get things finished and get things complete. So it's a really good energy to have on your side when it comes to trying to complete or finish whatever that forgotten project or loose end is. That's sort of showing up here in your 2 weeks. You also had that the miscommunication charm show up, which we were just talking about earlier with a lot of vowels showing up. So it's hard to kind of communicate something. And so something you might have a hard time communicating about or communicating with someone else is related to the King of Pentacles. So you've got 2 Pentacle cards. So something related to career is definitely showing up here in the second week. Career being an important thing to keep motivated towards. And it could be something related to your finances, your money, things like that. Might be a better time to communicate to your partner or to communicate to other people in your life about when it comes to career. Like I said, there's something you've forgotten or haven't completed that's showing up here in career in the second week that maybe you need to communicate about something where there's some miscommunication, possibly in an email or a forgotten thing. So something to consider coming into this second week. You also have a change in perspective or a change in heart whenever I see this one. It can represent travel for a few of you if you want a very specific message in that way with the Eiffel Tower. But I also think of it as like when this Eiffel Tower was first put up, a lot of people hated it and wanted it taken down. But now obviously we love the Eiffel Tower. Many people love it, and it just is a very beloved monument and all the artistry and everything. So I really feel like there's going to be a really big shift and change in perspective as well when it comes to the second week. I don't think it's related to the cards you got here. It feels more like just like an aha moment to consider. We're not getting a lot of information about why it's an aha moment, but in the second week, keep in mind that you might have like this revelation or big shift in your perspective coming up. And then lastly, you have this little charm with a little hole in it. Whenever I think of this one, it just represents not being too hard or harsh on yourself, right? Sometimes it's okay to not get the gold star, and sometimes it's okay to just get the silver star. So it is this feeling too that like your next 2 weeks is just showcasing this energy that you're not going to be perfect. You're maybe not going to get everything done or remember everything that you're hoping to, but your perspective on things seem to be kind of chill regardless, which is really, really nice to see. So that is everything that I really have showing up for you here at Group 1. I do hope that this has been useful to you and helpful to you when moving and navigating your next 2 weeks. And if it has, do be sure to give this video a like and let me know, as always, in the comments down below how it connected with you. I would love to hear. And if you are interested in these pick a card readings, I put them out every single Monday, as well as other ones for charm casting, for grimoire tours, for art magic, and the like. So do feel free to subscribe. And if you're interested in getting your own private reading where I send a letter to you in the mail, it's typewritten on a vintage typewriter and wax sealed closed for your eyes only, on any question or query or question on your mind, then definitely feel free to email me or DM me. All the information for those snail mail readings are down below and through my link tree. So with everything said here, thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 2, if you've decided to choose this piece of red tiger's eye, then this is the pile for you as we move into your coming next 2 weeks to see what you have coming in with the charms for the very specific details. But we're also going to be looking into the main energy with the Modern Witch Tarot here and other supplies. So I'll have this all listed as always down in the description down below in case you're curious what decks and different bits and bobs that we use here today. But we are going to begin with your 2 week ahead reading, looking into the numbers and letters, and more specifically the letters first. So do feel free to get yourself cozy, get yourself settled, get comfortable, get some water, some snacks, whatever you need. and we are going to begin first with your letters. So as always, you can use your own intuition as we move through this, with the charms specifically, and most especially, as there's always going to be those charms, those specific letters, those specific messages that are going to come forward specific to you, and I want you to really use your own intuition to see and pull those out. But we are going to begin first looking into the letters to see any oracle messages coming forward. We're going to see how the communication style is for your next 2 weeks. And we're also going to discover if there are any specific initials that are important for you. So let's go ahead and pull these for you, group 2. Oh my goodness, one just chucked itself into my lap. I'll have to grab what it is. Okay, so you have the letter R that chucked itself into my lap. So either that means it's chucking itself out of the week, if it's a specific initial, or it can just mean that it's a very important one, especially since you have another R showing up here. Kind of feels like a grr energy. You also had the letter U showing up here as well. That fell kind of outside of it, so that might be very significant as well. Other things you have coming in here, you have L, R, R, U, as well as J, and you've got this one standing up with V and U. So we don't have, too many consonants or too many vowels here, although we do have only one vowel to work with, which is U. So when I'm looking at this for communication, over the next 2 weeks for you, it's really just telling me that the way that you're communicating with yourself, especially with, the you showing up here, is going to be really important. The way you talk to yourself, the way you communicate with yourself, how you speak to yourself, right? Sometimes we don't think about that too much. We just think how we communicate with others, but it's really important how you focus on the communication that you have with yourself, with affirmations, the way you have self-talk. Otherwise, it feels really balanced. I'm also seeing here like lerv. So there could be like a crush or some sort of, and it doesn't have to be a crush on a person. It could be a crush on a new idea or a new hobby or a new thing that you're just like really excited about. You've got a crush on in a way. But it just feels like lerv. That's kind of how I'm interpreting this. Other things, not a lot that we can really spell here with only the 2 vowels. If you split this apart, you can technically do like RV, so there could be some vacations, road trips, camping, things like that. Travel, that might be important. And like I said, just that initial coming forward with R maybe being really important. But outside of that, there's not a ton we can really do here. So we're going to just move forward and see what else you have coming in with your other messages. So we're going to start first with, or rather next, with the numbers here. So the numbers might give us some repeated numbers, some numerology, angel numbers, messages from spirit. You can also see these as specific dates that are important too. So let's go ahead and pull these for you, group 2. Ooh, interesting. So you have the mirrored numbers of 13 oh my gosh, I thought that was just 3 from my perspective, but it's 13 as well. So you have 3 13s coming forward. That's really powerful. That was not coming forward with any of your other messages so far, but 13 is a number related to the death card, which I know can seem really scary, but in this case it feels really quite freeing, like a really big release of something, like something you've completed, getting off your back, like a habit or energy that no longer serves you, that you've kind of finished or completed with or moved through. It just kind of feels like you've just put something to rest that feels really nice, like you're just taking a huge weight off of your chest. That's the energy that I'm getting here. Is it going to be easy? Not necessarily, and it might not happen until the end of the next 2 weeks, but there is something that maybe you've been worried about, or ready to finish or wanting to, rid of or purge out of your life that is coming forward to leave. There's something about release. You also have the numbers 4 and 10 feeling very unrelated. So the 14th and the 13th might be really important as well. And yeah, I'm mostly just, focusing on these 3 13s for sure. We'll see what other messages you get and see how they sort of pair up and relate. But that is very mysterious. Let's go ahead and pull you your main energy card for the next 2 weeks next. So this one is going to show you your main energy, the overarching energy for you for the next 2 weeks to see what is coming forward. So definitely feel free to send your own energy into the cards and really connect with them. And let's see what that main energy is for you for the next 2 weeks, group 2. The main overarching theme and energy for the next 2 weeks for group 2. Ooh, okay, the 8 of Wands. I find this really interesting because when I was looking at your letters, I wanted the letter E so I could do Rev, but I didn't feel like it was fully spelled, so I didn't say anything. But you're literally getting like the Rev up card of the 8 of Wands, right? You can literally see them just like revving it up and flying through the next 2 weeks. So it really feels like the energy of the next 2 weeks is busy. It is quick. It is fast. It is moving at a pace that you're trying to keep up with. So yes, you have a lot that you're releasing and letting go of. So maybe that is going to help try to kind of remove some of the weight of the next 2 weeks for you. Also travel coming forward here as well with the idea of a long winding road trips, travel, seeking out connections with other people that you have to like go to, getting out of the house, that kind of feeling. And then also the wands are just feeling very like the energy is fast, determined, moving, like a snowball effect. Once you start one thing, the next thing. So it kind of just feels like the next 2 weeks is, like I said, going to be really busy, very fast, very quick paced. And you're just really trying to keep up with it and keep sort of pace with the universe and the timing that is coming forward. But let's look into the specifics with the charm mat here. So if you're interested in getting your own charm casting mat with your own embroidered different designs that you have in mind, then definitely feel free to reach out to me with an email or a DM. I'd love to customly create one for you. But we are going to use this charm mat to look at anything that falls here in the center for more information about your main energy with the 8 of Wands. Anything that falls here on the left half in this noodle shape is about group. Anything that falls here in the left half of this little noodle shape here is about week 1, and then the same with the reverse for week 2. And then anything that falls in the moons we'll talk about individually. But we're going to start first with the tarot tiles. So let's pull these and see what they have to say. So as always, feel free to connect into the dark abyss. Let's see what you get. Interesting. Not a lot of those wanted to really come out, so I'm curious to see what the charms have to say to add an extra layer here. So just the same, feel free to connect with the charms, and let's pull some for you, group 2. Okay, let's have a little look here. So we're going to start first with the center, looking more into that same energy of the 8 of Wands, right? And you have one card here with the Chariot. Nice. Okay, so the Chariot, which is really interesting, I'm actually going to pull it out for you. Okay, so the Chariot is the only other card in this deck that has the motorcycle. So I really find it interesting that that is going to be the one that comes forward for you with this motorcycle energy. Maybe some of you legit drive a motorcycle or ride on a motorcycle, and that's important to you if you want to take it very literally. But otherwise, it seems like you're keeping pace. Like I said, I was a little worried that you weren't able to keep pace with this busyness, this snowball effect of tasks and things that you need to complete and finish and move through, and new things that make you busy, right? You finish one thing and a new thing shows up the next day. But it seems like you're really keeping pace if you decide to, right? The Chariot is all about, choice being in a play here, right? That you have to make the choice. You have to decide you really want to keep pace. Otherwise, it's going to just kind of continue to snowball and pile up. So over these next 2 weeks, the advice here really is showing up here as trying to keep pace by choosing every day to get this task done, to do that big thing, to go after that thing that you need to get done on your task list, or whatever it is that's starting to pile up. Otherwise, you're going to get caught in it. You know what I mean? And it'll only get harder and harder. You also have like the key to the ignition as well here, showcasing that choice as well. That choice being very important here in the first week with the way that the key is pointing. So when you're moving into this first week, you might have a lot of tasks and goals that start to pile up. And if you don't complete them or finish them or, work towards them, even if it's just 5 minutes in the day, it'll continue to pile up. So definitely busy in the first week and definitely more related to the first week. But this also does say it is like a safeguard security key. So this also represents like security and protection. It feels like your guides are really protecting you and guiding you forward in this first week for sure. Other things to consider. Actually, I'm going to take both the cards. Let's go ahead and have a little look at your week 1 here, as you have a few different charms. These all feel like they're part of week 1. And the ones that you got here are the invisible charm. Interesting. It is a snowman, but it's mostly the invisible part that I'm going for here with this charm. And that maybe there's a task that has left your mind. This kind of came up in group 1. So if you're feeling called to this specific charm quite a lot, definitely feel free to check out group 1. But it feels like there's something that maybe you have forgotten, or something that either you are feeling forgotten or something feels invisible, a task that you kind of didn't realize and it kind of creeped up on you because you do have such a whirlwind of the next 2 weeks. It feels very busy and very quick. So something that maybe you forgot in this first week to consider, maybe a task that you've been nurturing or working on for a while that you kind of let up on or haven't been, checking back in on. This could be a project, a person, could be towards career possibly, maybe something in your home that you needed to fix or call a repair person for, or whatever it is. But there's some sort of task that has fallen to the wayside. You also have this spiraling circle charm. Whenever I look at this, it kind of just, it's a spiral if you think about it, or like a little sling. And it just kind of feels like there's something kind of spiraling. You might feel more anxious in the first week because there's spiraling thoughts. And then you also have the charm of the worry stone. So it's like one of those worry stones that you can rub when you're feeling anxious. So it does feel like even though you have these spiraling thoughts, it seems like you're going to have the remedy not too far off, that it's not going to necessarily be something that totally overtakes your next first week. Again, I really just feel like projects are really important in the first week, but you're not really getting a lot of context. We're mostly getting energy charms in your first week, and then just to choose to kind of go after whatever sort of shows up at your door in a way with that Chariot, and to sort of keep pace with the busyness of things showing up. But here in your second week, we're definitely getting more context, I feel like. Let's start here with the bottom. You have the Knight of Pentacles. Interesting, the first week also got this one in their second week. The Knight of Pentacles being a very stable energy. And you have it sort of moving into the second week as a very stable energy on your side. which is really helpful with some of the other busy things you have going on. You have the overwhelm charm showing up. This one showed up very first, got caught on my finger, and it is the charm of feeling overwhelmed, feeling overstretched, right? You're feeling a little like thin, right? Stretched thin. So the stable energy really feels like someone coming in, swooping in and helping you a little bit. Someone who feels possibly but are an earth sign in your life with a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn in their sun, moon, or rising, possibly coming forward to really help you, to give you a little bit of a needed break. And then you also have quite a social second week. Like, I feel like you have a commitment because this is the commitment charm. A commitment or a promise to someone to be somewhere at some event, possibly literally a wedding, as this is a ring, but it could be any kind of commitment, a birthday party, a friend date, whatever it is, really, some sort of social event that's really important, because you did get the celebrations charm. That's why I'm thinking birthdays and weddings, some sort of celebration, even like a anniversary could be coming forward too. And then you have the Three of Cups, which showcases more celebration. So it really feels like the second week is something to celebrate. There's a lot of really happy, beautiful things happening in the second week, but it might feel just really overwhelming. A lot of events, a lot of things to go to, a lot of people to talk to, a lot of cards to send out, whatever it is, and it feels like someone else is going to kind of swoop in and help out in that situation, or you're possibly helping out someone who feels overwhelmed because it's their wedding or it's something else, right? And you want to be there for them, so that also could go both ways. But overall, those are all the charms and cards that I have for you for your coming 2 weeks. If you did enjoy this reading and you got something out of it, definitely be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below how it resonated, the things that really called out to you. And as always, if there's something that didn't call out to you, feel free to leave it. It's totally cool. And if you're interested in more pick-a-card readings like this one with the charms and the cards, or other ones for grimoire tours or videos on charm casting, then definitely feel free to subscribe, as I put out those readings and videos every single Monday. And if you want to dive deeper into anything that we talked about here today, then definitely feel free to check out the snail mail readings that I do, where I send a letter to you in the mail. It's typewritten on a vintage typewriter and sent to you wax sealed closed for your eyes only on any question or query on your mind. So do feel free to check that out down below, as well as through my Instagram, where I have lots of helpful reviews. Send me an email or an Instagram DM, and I will be sending one your way. So feel free to check those out down below. But with that all said, thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 3, if you've decided to choose this piece of bark with all this lichen, then this is the pile for you, so we can look into your coming next 2 weeks with the charms, with the letters, with the numbers, and the tarot, all of which will have everything listed down below in the description in case you're curious what we're using here today. But I am very excited to see what you have coming in, because I was feeling immediately called before I chose any of the crystals and the shells and things like that for the other piles. I felt immediately called to this little piece of bark. So if you're feeling called to this one, I'm very curious to see what you have coming in. So we're going to start first with the letter tiles, but I like to preface and let you know, as always, please do use your own intuition. See what's coming forward. Spell whatever you'd like with the different letters coming forward. See what initials are coming forward. With the letters and the numbers, the charms and everything. As always, use your own intuition and see. But you're also welcome to get yourself cozy, get comfortable, get a little snack or some tea or some water, whatever you'd like. But we are going to go ahead and begin with the letters. So as always, like I said, use your own intuition, but let's pull some for you. Okay, so we have a few different ones showing up here already. Upright, we have O, D, and Y. Let's see what else you have. You have P, E, A, R, A, T, and O. Literally, it doesn't exactly spell it, but like I just saw like dance party. Like you could probably spell like party, right? And then like dance isn't entirely here, but I don't know. There's something with like dance party or like a celebration of some sort, something you're celebrating or celebrating about someone else. Darts coming forward here as well. Dart being that like you literally could be playing darts, right? Or playing board games or having some sort of social gaming event. But you also could have dart being like feeling kind of spontaneous. It makes me think of like someone who like throws a dart at a map and then decides to go to wherever that map takes them. It just feels very spontaneous, feeling a little bit serendipitous or this like infectious impulsiveness that you might have coming on too. So you might be making more impulsive buys or more, just working off your impulse, like when it comes to your actions and behavior over the next 2 weeks. Ayo, like it literally feels like a party. It feels like some sort of celebration, very social, very playful, very spontaneous and infectious, even with this stuff coming forward for you, or at least that is like one part of it. It could also be that this is like one part of your next 2 weeks. It's not going to be the entire thing, but it's definitely one to consider, or something that's going to be really like something you're going to remember by the end of it. That's everything I'm really seeing, though. I know there's more you could probably write, but I really am just feeling those specific messages coming forward the most. But we are going to move to your your number tiles and see what they have to say. So for these, we are going to be looking for repeating numbers. We're going to look at the colors. We're going to look at the angel numbers or spirit guided numbers coming forward, and also significant dates. So let's go ahead and pull these for you, group 3. Okay, so that number 7 felt really important when I was pulling it out. 75 showing up here, both in orange with 7 and 5. You have a 12 in red and a 1 in red. 1 and 12 kind of feeling like numbers from the past, as in like the 12th is probably already passed, the 1st is already passed, right? But there's something significant that happened then that might be related to things we've already talked about now that are impacting your coming next 2 weeks. And then 75 just feeling like, I don't know, it feels like a lucky number for you this week. I don't normally say that, but like, and it doesn't normally show up for me, but for whatever reason, like your lucky number this next 2 weeks is the number 75. Like that just feels really clear. So I don't know if you're placing bets on anything, maybe do 7 or 5, 1 or 12. The 17th, the 15th also might be important, significant dates to consider. But with the numbers, that's what we have showing up here for you. But let's go ahead and see the overarching energy for you for the next 2 weeks. So we're going to pull one card here to see what the main theme is, the main overarching umbrella message for you for the next 2 weeks. And then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty with the charms. So let's go ahead and pull you a card. So the next 2 weeks for group 3 here, what is the main energy or theme coming forward for them? Okay, so this one decided to come out. Let's see what it is. You have the Queen of Cups. Ooh, very interesting. The Queen of Cups is a very emotionally adept person. They're someone who is very in touch with their feelings, very in touch with flowing in and out of things. Adapting would be the word that I'm really feeling with the Queen of Cups here today is adapting. So I feel like your next 2 weeks adapting to the situation, working through problems through rather than trying to push through a problem or fix something. It's just flowing through it, letting things flow, adding more ease, letting a breath of air come into it. There's something showing up here around that, a flow of imagination as well, play, joy. And again, I'm just getting like the life of a party kind of feeling to this, where they're like holding a little glass here, right? So it really feels like your next 2 weeks are related to just letting things have a lot more ease, more flow, more, space to release things or to let things go if they need to. Something around that showing up here with the Queen of Cups. But I am curious to see if it shows up again in your charms and how it might be flowing into your next 2 weeks. So I will zoom you out here so we can see the charm mat. If you guys are interested in getting your own custom charm casting cloth or mat, definitely feel free to email me or DM me, as I'd love to hand embroider and design one for you. But as for today's, we are going to be using the charm mat to see if any charms fall here in the center. It'll be more related to your main energy with the Queen of Cups, whereas anything that falls here in the left half of this little noodle shape will be related to week 1. Same with the right half being week 2. And then we are going to see what the moons have to say if anything falls on them. But I do have something that all of a sudden got in my throat, so if I like chop up sentences here, that's the reason why. But we're gonna be starting here first with your tarot tiles, which are in here. So let's go ahead and pull those for you. And then we're also going to pull you some charms as well to add those extra little details. So let's go ahead and pull those as well. So group 3 next to each. Okay, so I'm not feeling like a lot of charms or a lot of cards wanted to come out. I could have gone, ham and thrown a whole ton of them, but it really felt like that wasn't really the point, which totally makes sense. I mean, you're getting a lot about flow, a lot about balance, a lot about stillness, or, well, maybe not stillness, but like taking your time, adding more ease into your life. And that makes a lot of sense because it seems like a lot of things have been sort of blocked off, or you've been feeling a bit of a block. Things have been feeling maybe a bit stagnant in your life because you have the stagnant charm, you have the lock, right? I don't think you have any keys that showed up here, but the key to unlocking, literally the key to unlocking this little lock here is related to this flamingo. I always think of it as like the like blue heron, and it makes me think of how this Queen of Cups feels. Sorry, again, there's something in my throat that just won't go away. But how this Queen of Cups feels, right? Where they're like looking down at the water. Even if you see like their two poses, they feel very similar, right? They're looking down at the water, looking down at this cup, taking their time. It just feels like the key to your next 2 weeks is just to find more ease and balance and flow into your life by sort of resting, to try not to push things or to make things happen, but rather just letting things flow in and flow out like the tide. And that's sort of the energy that I have coming in here for your next 2 weeks. But let's go ahead and look at each week individually. So week 1, it seems you have a couple of different cards showing up here. You have the Queen of Wands alongside the Five of Wands, which is right next to this rose-colored glasses charm. So whenever I see the rose-colored glasses, it means that there's something that you're not fully looking at, or possibly this is where you're feeling a bit of ease, right? The rose-colored glasses can be a good thing. Sometimes it just means like, you go out on a sunny day and it looks really beautiful, but then you put the sunglasses on that are all like shaded and tinted and everything looks even more beautiful. And that's kind of how I'm feeling. Like it feels like you're putting like a cover over a certain situation that you don't really want to react to or reenact or look back on or reflect on. When it comes to some sort of argument, some sort of disagreement that may have shown up here in the first week. So what I'm really getting here is a lot of advice here with the first week to really decide if it's important to you to maybe put this rose-colored glasses on, because sometimes we need that to sort of process a situation or take a little bit of a minute to process it. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting here, like you're processing a situation, a conversation, a disagreement that happened, and in doing so you're kind of like setting it aside and enjoying life, right? Sometimes we have really big arguments and then they kind of take over our entire day, or they take over our whole week, and then that's all our week becomes. And it seems like you're like separating the two, where it's like once you're home, well, you don't have to think about that work thing anymore. You can just put your rose-colored glasses on and just chill and be calm and let things flow in and out. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting here with these charms. As for the Queen of Wands here, it really feels like things are really working in your favor this first week. It feels like the Queen of Wands is a very confident card, so it's really showcasing to me that this, and the fact that you have a lot of Queen energy coming in here, a very sovereign card, that just shows that things are really in your favor, or things that are very much in your control when it comes to this first week. How you decide to see things, view things, talk things out, how you react to things. It seems like your behaviors, your actions are very much in your control in the first week. As for your second week, you have a couple of other charms and cards showing up here, with a little cluster down here, and then a single card up here being the reversed version of the Magician card. The Magician usually being a very resourceful card of manifestation, of clarity, of finishing things, of having all of your ducks in your order, in order, whereas it's reversed here for you. So you may be feeling a little bit more like things are less in your control in the second week, where things were very much in your control in the first week. Things are feeling a little less in your control, and it's maybe because there's something that you are, like I said, flow is really important for you in these next 2 weeks, and it seems like there's something that you're kind of holding yourself off from, or stopping in its tracks with this ice, right? Something that's been kind of put on ice. And what it might be related to is a decision that you need to make, because you do have the Two of Swords, which usually represents you're at like a fork in a road and you need to make a decision or go one way or the other. And you're feeling very anchored. You're feeling very, like you're maybe not going to make the decision in the second week, but it's definitely a decision that's going to be very impactful. In maybe, if you think of this as like a ship, right? If the anchor is down, you're not really making much of a headway. So to make headway, or to, go one way or the other, you have to make this decision first. And so maybe that's where that stagnation is coming forward for you for these next 2 weeks. So I would say the remedy or the advice for you over the next 2 weeks is to really work in flow, work in balance. To find more balance is really going to be through flow of your emotions, to listen to your needs, to move through certain situations rather than kind of get stuck by them or held back by them. The key to your next 2 weeks to get away from being stagnant or stuck is to flow through and add more ease into your next 2 weeks, rather than kind of stopping in your tracks, cutting things off, or putting things aside. So that's everything that I have for you over the next 2 weeks. If you did enjoy this reading or you got something out of it, as always, do be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below how it connected, or what charms and cards really called out to you. And if you're interested in these pick a card readings and charm readings, then definitely feel free to subscribe, as I put out new readings every single Monday, as well as videos on charm casting, on art magic, and grimoire tours that you might really enjoy. And if you want to get a much deeper dive into any question or query or themed reading on your mind, then do feel free to check out and reach out for a snail mail reading, as I put out new readings every single Monday. As I send a letter to you in the mail, it's typewritten on a vintage typewriter for that old world feel and that tactile feel, and it is wax sealed closed for your eyes only. So if you're interested in those readings where you can get handmade paper and sigils and all that fun magical stuff alongside it, then definitely feel free to check out all the helpful reviews down below through my Instagram, through my Linktree, and to send an email or any questions my way. So thank you so much for hanging out here with me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.